Yo, 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 what's up?
Anybody in the chat?
Oh yeah,
Anybody in it? Who's in the chat?
let's see. Let's say some hellos. We got Tommy Silver Creek Wildlife is here. Empire of Dirt Aquatics. Jeff Kane is with us. Why are we always yelling? Sam, thank you for joining us. Outside, outside in, Kyle. Think. Let me turn off the volume on the other live stream. Let's see. We got Brandon B. Wizzle.
Wizzle.
Jose, the Joy of Fish Keeping is here. Berto Garcia Aquatics is here. And that's it for right now. Oh, Gabriel. Oh, almost forgot Gabriel.
Man, Gabriel Selly came through.
I know.
Gabriel, you're a lucky man. You're a lucky man, Gabriel. Selly came through like a trooper.
Leo 209 Aquatics is here also. He just rolled in. We have Happy Place Aquatics. Jim is here. David Peces y Más is also here. Laro from Multis and Sinless.
That's weird. You know everybody's first name. I feel like such a turd.
Well, it's because I spend a lot of time watching live streams, so I interact a lot. And then Raphael from Animal Instinct is also here. Alex Fathom Aquatics.
What, Animal Instincts is a Raphael? His name is Raphael?
Yeah.
I thought it was, I don't know. I didn't even know that.
Yep.
I didn't know. See, look at that. I feel like a turd because, you know what I mean? I don't know nobody. But, hey, but you know what? I've always been better with, like, you can tell me your real name and then tell me your nickname, and I will always remember the nickname and never remember it. I'll be like, that dude, I don't know. It's they call him Squizzleezy. That's Squizzleezy right there. What's his real name? I don't know. He told me. I just remember Squizzleezy.
Biggie Little.
Yeah.
We got Brandon rolling in also. Thank you for being here. Well, anyways, I know today, like always, it all started out with a phone call. Actually, it started out with a text because I was trying to find out who was going live today. And I was actually texting Fathom. And he goes, I think Eddie and Funk usually go tonight. And I said, oh yeah, that's right. So I text you. I said, what are you going to do tonight? And you're like, I don't know. What are you planning? I said, well, I'm not planning anything. I just kind of wanted to do something tonight.
Well, when you asked me, you literally wrote, do you have a topic, or are you going to go fly off by the seat of your pants? And I was in the middle of texting you saying, I normally don't wear pants. But I started thinking, I was like, oh, he must have something on his mind. That's why he's asking me.
Yeah, I sort of did, because it's funny because it just coincides with what's going on with you and me right now.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I've kind of touched on it during the middle of the week.
You touched on who?
On you.
Oh, you heard it here. You got a picture of me rubbing it. You heard it here first. You heard it here first, y'all.
No, I was talking about the fact that I had put some of my fish on, for sale and stuff like that. It's something that I've been contemplating, but I didn't think I was going to get into it this soon into the plans. It was supposed to be something that was supposed to maybe 10 years down the road, but
dude, listen, I've been listening to you talk about it, and in my head, I'm like, why doesn't he just do it? Like, what? Just do it. Stop talking about it. Just do it. I know you're kind of curious about it. I think you're going about this the same way you go about YouTube. It's no big deal. And then you're going to really go into it. Like, I'm not doing it funny. It's just a thing I do for fun here and there. And then really make something out of it. Just like YouTube. I don't do videos. I just do it just to upload. And then you doing you studying shit, making shit look good.
Well, that's the problem though, is because I tend to go down these rabbit holes, and I know myself. If I start something out, I just can't let it be. If I start doing something, I try to do it better every time. And but that's just the way I am.
Well, so I can tell you from experience, doing it what you're doing it almost turns into you don't have to do no advertising, word of mouth gets out there, and you just have to have them.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and it's interesting because it's all kind of falling into place because I just see the comments on Facebook. Everybody
mhm.
there's two aquatic groups, two pretty big ones here. Uh and everybody's complaining about the same thing, that they keep going to PetSmart. They don't have inventory, and when they do, it's all sick. It's
Yeah.
all full of ick, or it's all, got internal parasites, and half of them are dying inside the system. The other problem is there's no selection other than a few. It seems like all they have is a few different types of guppies, and they're only selling you the males, of course.
Hmm.
And then they have some really sad neons. I mean, sad. I've never
Yeah.
seen neons so bad. And it's weird because I've gone to other stores and other cities, and they don't look that bad. Actually, the fish look good. Here, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because they're in heat for too long, or they just stress the hell out of the fish by the time they get here. Um,
Well, I do know, depending on where, if you get a lot of, unfortunately, um, they might be coming from overseas and they just went through hell to get to where they're going. Um, I when I was working at Consolidated, those Florida Rays ones, they just didn't go through as much stress. They didn't go through as much stress, so they were
so
better.
so the process of that is kind of, let me, like I said, I go down these rabbit holes. So I've been kind of looking at it, and I know people have told me, why are you even concerned about trying to get a license? Just sell the damn fish. Nobody's gonna say nothing. And that's not the issue. The problem is I can't supply enough fish by just breeding them. I mean,
No.
I could do the thing where I'll sell what I have and then probably wait 3 or 4 months to restock inventory and then try to sell it. I mean, I could potentially do that, but the problem is right now I'm limited on the species that I do have on hand, because it's what I've, excuse me, mostly what I've been able to buy at the
Yeah.
PetSmart that I've gotten healthy and then being able to reproduce. But
And I
now
got a
with a lot,
theory with that.
okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, no, no. You go ahead. I'll say after. But I got a theory, and it goes right along with what you're saying. As far as people selling fish and breeding fish and whatever. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's gotten to the point now where I'd rather have a place where I can source. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what I've found out in the process of doing this is you can't buy retail and resell. I mean, you could, but you're not. You're just going to be spinning your wheels. I mean,
No, you can't.
you're
You
gonna
can't.
you're gonna break even. If not, you're gonna come out of pocket.
I don't even see how anybody could see how that's a good idea.
And so the one thing I've obviously figured out is that you got to buy wholesale. While the problem that I'm running into is wholesalers won't talk to you unless you have um, the
Yep.
the
Yeah.
appropriate,
EIN.
yeah,
Yep.
the appropriate paperwork.
Yeah.
Or you can't even look at their sites. You can't even
No.
get quotes. Nothing.
No.
I mean,
No.
and I've been looking at different sources.
Yeah.
Not so much just trying to do my second fish from the get. Oh, okay. I was just reading, see if there's any questions. You can selling fish near you. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, see, that's on that. What's interesting is, like I said, all we have is a PetSmart. There was a few local breeders, but the problem that's here is that most of the breeders that were here, they all want to breed African cichlids. And this is what I'm finding. This is what I've quickly realized. The guys that are selling here are trying to do it so that they can stop working. They think they're going to make a living out of
Yeah.
selling fish.
Yeah.
Um, and I've looked at that, and I've seen already two guys fail miserably because they counted on that. They weren't happy with their employment. They ended. We have a market, but it's not very big. Our population might be 100,000, and out of those 100,000,
Hmm.
maybe 1% is fish keepers.
Hmm.
So, and most of them are not gonna, when African cichlids were very popular and they were selling for for good money. Well,
Mhm.
these guys thought if I get in now, I can sell, I can breed all these fish because they're not really difficult to breed, and I can sell them. The problem is
Yeah.
they were trying to sell them, um, kind of like with retail prices and stuff like that. And well, it didn't take more than a couple of guys to buy them. They turned around and said, "There's money in this," and they started breeding. So this whole market is flooded with African cichlids. Nobody can sell African cichlids because everybody
See,
has it.
I would love to be in your area because okay, so this is that what I found in because like for those of you who don't know, I've been in the fish industry. I've been in the hobby for going on 24 years in some way, shape, or form. I took a break for a little while, but I got back into it. Um, so and I've done breeding for profit, breeding and selling. And here's my thoughts on it. And this is why those African cichlid guys failed ultimately because they were solely depending on the fish that they breed.
Yeah.
And when you do the math, the time it takes, the money you spend, the water, the electric, the food, the time, uh, it doesn't make sense. You actually the best you can hope for is to break even. That's the best you can hope for. To be honest with you, the people who make money selling fish do it wholesale. Some will do it sell retail, but they have humongous operations. And to be honest with you, they are not as finicky as the home breeder as far as okay. So out here in Florida, there's so many African breeding farms out here. You think they have them in tanks and they're looking at the females and looking at the males? No, they have them in ponds that they can't even see through the water. And then every so often they throw traps in there, pull them up, boom.
Yeah, those are all the expenses that go with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And here,
So my ultimate what's the word I'm looking for? My ultimate framework that I could feel that somebody could be more successful if they wanted to be a breeder. Because I mean, some people, anybody, you don't have to be a fish breeder to get a wholesale license and start selling fish. But there's a lot of fish people out there that will look at a person. They'll look at you, for instance. Look at this guy, Mexicali. Okay, he's bringing in fish. He's not breeding everything, but he is a breeder. He knows fish. You know what I'm saying? So it's your fish have a little bit more. You as a seller have a little bit more leg to stand on because not only you're selling fish that you're buying from a wholesaler, but there are also fish in your home that you bred yourself. So they will normally come and they want to see the fish you bred. That's what they want to see. But now you have all these other things that can go along with that fish that they can sell. If I was doing Africans, I wanted to sell Africans out my house. I was a breeder. I would stick with one type, maybe three types of fish. Let's say blueberry OBs. Let's say red empresses, and let's just say those two because you can actually get a bunch of them. So I would breed those. So those are kind of the most popular. Those are real popular. So people would come to you for those, and then while they're there, they'll be like, okay, so this guy's legit. He's a breeder. His stock, his personal fish that he breeds are awesome. But he also has these other things that I can buy that he didn't breed. But because he's a breeder, I have a lot of faith that these are also just as good. You know what I mean? So you keep your clout as a breeder by breeding a fish. But to be honest with you, you'll make more money selling the stuff that you bring in from whatchamacallit, because you don't have them as long. You have them like a week.
In talking to both of these gentlemen, the problem that they came across is they thought they were going to be able to breed these fish and sell them from home, right? And that was it. Well,
No.
when they realized that they had too many
Yeah.
and they couldn't sell them all, they tried reaching out to the local stores up in Phoenix. Well, they thought they were going to be able to get the value of the fish as what retail stores are selling, or a little bit
No,
under that. And
that don't
that's
make no
what it,
sense.
yeah, well, that's I'm telling you what from the conversations that I had.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I told him, I said, why don't you just, sell them off for, as wholesale to these places so that you constantly have a little source of revenue. And I was like, no, because by the time I drive up there and the prices they're giving me, they're cheaping out on the. And I was thinking, well, wait a minute, but you got to understand the concept of breeding for profit. But they were kind of both stuck in the idea that their fish were worth a lot more than they were going to sell them. And
Yeah.
then the other
See.
thing that I told them, I said, well, why don't you ship? Because they're right now here, this whole area in Phoenix is flooded with African cichlids. A lot of peacocks, a lot of mbunas.
Uh-huh.
Is it, yeah or no? Malawi, which are the colorful ones that they usually combine, the OB peacocks and haps, right?
Mimbunas.
Yeah. Well,
The ones
the,
that they kind of the cheapos that you can find. They all have the
well,
same
no, no,
shape.
no. I'm talking about usually what they'll do with the OB peacocks.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, they're speckled.
Yeah.
Speckled. Yeah. Yeah. Those
Well, anyways, so
peacocks.
I mean, they
OBs.
have really nice fish, but it's like every other breeder here in Arizona. That's what they're breeding. So
See.
one, they've driven the market down because there's an
Yeah.
abundance. You can't get rid of them,
Uh-huh.
and everybody is doing that. So there's just no market. But half of these guys don't want to ship. So you have this excess of product and nowhere to. They don't want to. They don't want to run the risk of sending it. So I've been looking at all that stuff, and I thought, well, I don't necessarily want to be in that situation. And I know what I've told you. My plan is I'll sell. This is what my mentality behind my business is. I want to have access to inexpensive fish because one, it'll allow me to buy the fish that I want at a reasonable price to turn around and create content. That's the one.
Yep.
That's the one thing.
Yep.
But at the same time, if I'm already buying those fish, I can buy some extra ones and sell here locally. So
Yep.
that's kind of the idea. If I needed, let's say, a group of 20, well, maybe I can buy 40 at wholesale price, keep whatever it is that I need to do, whatever I am doing for content, and then I have
Mhm.
20 that I can, slowly sell here in town. And a lot of the
Yeah.
stuff that I'm looking for is stuff that I know our local stores not going to keep. Now, here's the other thing, though. I am paying attention as to what the hobby trends are doing.
Yeah.
And right now, it's all about planet tanks, small fish, and that's kind of where we're at now. So the other thing that I've found, and there's people with especially coming here, the first question that they always ask me is, "Do you sell plants?" And it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I can sell some, but I don't have enough to sustain the demand of what they're asking for. So
Mhm.
obviously, the solution is to buy plants wholesale because
Yeah.
then I could turn around and be able to still sell them at a profitable price and not have to worry about competing with well, there isn't anybody to compete here with. That's the
Yeah.
reality of it. And the few that are selling plants are just selling trimmings, and they won't be able to keep up with the demand because
Yeah.
trimmings you can only maybe once a week. No, not even that. I'm trying to think how often I got to trim my plants, but so there is. I've come to the realization that there is a little niche right now that I could exploit.
Mhm.
Now, the thing is, do I want to go? Well, I have to. I don't have a choice because if I want to buy wholesale, I have to have the the permits in place to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
so that's why I've kind of this is kind of accelerated a lot quicker than I was planning on doing this because the idea was to do it like a side hustle for when I retired, but I think the side hustle starts now.
Well, you can go as fast or as slow as you want. It's up to you how much you order. If you're like, yo, this is getting, I'm not ordering. I'm sticking with my. I'm giving myself a budget of $200 a month to bring in fish. That's what I'm sticking with. If I spend more, I have the money to spend it. If I do, then that means I'm just gonna have to grow. I'm gonna have to buy more tanks. Da 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 da. Because if I do it 200 every 2 weeks, then that means I need more tanks. Da 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 da. Or maybe you sell out and I mean, I just use that 200 a month just because small operations starting out. So those African cichlid guys, what they should have done is instead of selling a lot or breeding a lot of one, like I said, they should have stuck to maybe like 2 or 3 species and slowed down their rate of how much they were breeding. But they could have got a license and got Java Fern, Anubias, catfish that can go like Synodontis catfish, all different styles of Synodontis catfish, fancier Placos. You know what I mean? So that when someone comes to their house and be like, "Oh, I heard you had great African cichlids," they don't have a whole lot of one species. They have like 3 that they bred, but they can also get some other thing that can go in there. You know what I mean? With the Synodontis and the whatnot.
Yeah, but and that's the problem though, because what I guess if you had a categorize Arizona as to what fish is the most popular, every store is a African cichlid store. Almost, okay. I mean, they're all gonna have all these fish. So there's just too many. There's just too many, but that's because they were so popular like 2 or 3 years ago, where they were just.
I mean, they could just pony up the money and find that really expensive, and just do one type of fish, but it's super expensive. That way you don't have everybody and their uncle coming over there expecting to buy, spend $5 a fish. And I mean, I don't know. African cichlids are funny. You kind of. That is because once you get a certain size of African cichlids, you just don't buy no more. And they're a strong fish, so it's not like they die all the time. So people don't replace them that often because they're a strong fish. Well,
then the problem you run into when you start breeding them, because this is the whole thing, they run out of places to put the fry to grow them out.
That's
the one thing that they all had in common, is that they had all these tanks and they couldn't keep up with them because they had fry everywhere. That's the whole reason why I haven't gone bananas with the angelfish for the longest time.
You'd be mm-hmm. No, I get exactly. Like with me, there's a bunch of selling. I mean, I'm gonna sell to people who come, who hit me up, but for the most part, it'll be online. For the most part, and I've been really racking my head over what. I mean, I've always known what. Like we've had this discussion. Yeah, nanofish, they go good and all that, but I'm not a nanofish guy, and I know there are smaller cichlids that people do want that just cannot find, that I seem to come across every once in a while, all the time. That like they say, oh, we're like, for instance, for some reason, people have a problem with getting a good strain of electric blue Jack Dempsey. That's something that I can get. A good strain of electric blue rams, or just German blue rams. That's something I can get. Of course, I'm gonna do angelfish, but Corydoras. I come across some really, really nice Corydoras that I keep hearing people talk. Like I'll lurk and I'll listen to people. Stephen P's channel seems to have a lot of people that talk about Corydoras and Placos a lot. Now, I'm in a position where I can get these fish at a really good price and pass the savings on. So I feel like that's a way to go. But because I'm not going big right now, I have no expectation of. I don't have that thing. I don't have a monkey on my back saying it's got to do this much and this much. I can go ahead and go slow people can see my fish. I talked about it on a members only where, people can actually follow along and see the fish from when I get them to quarantine, the whole entire process, the steps. And when they do get that fish, they feel confident that it's the healthiest fish that they can get because they've watched it. They've literally every day have watched this fish on his journey from the quarantine, what was fed, how it's living, what type of water it's from, where it comes from. Because I am going to put down where exact, is it a Florida fish? Is it a Brazil? Did it come from Brazil? This, that, and the other. So it's going to be more of a niche thing on my side, with fish that people, and I'm using the fish that I'm doing is based 100% off of my comments.
Okay.
I was like, remember I told you, I was like, bro, this is something you'd be interested in. Gold white clouds. I don't like white clouds, but I saw these fish. I was like, oh, those jokers are hot. Well, you'll have access to that, and that'll be more of your niche. You know what I'm saying? But with me, it'll be flag the flag cichlids. The people always hit me up. Hey, where can I get those yellow fire mouths and this, that, and the other? So that's where I'm going, is 100% off of my comments. I am going to be the smaller cichlid guy, even the pistos.
Yeah, it was funny because I asked on the group. I said, because when they were talking about, they were disappointed with the reopening of
Hey, okay, now we're good.
Yeah, I know. I had them on the timer.
Yeah,
and they were a little bit disappointed with the fact that they thought they were going to bring in more species, and they ended up bringing out less.
Yeah,
and
they actually, yeah.
So they were kind of like, so I asked them, I said, what would you guys be interested in? And a couple of people said, I forgot what the plants were the biggest thing. Oh yeah, some plants. And then some person said, oh, I'd like to see some Oscars, some convicts, some, what was it? I was like, that's the stuff you get at PetSmart. Why would you want to?
Yeah,
so
no, like, you wouldn't be able to compete with them.
No, like, it's just I would have to get them extremely small to be able to keep them in my tanks, and hopefully sell them,
but before they eat you out of the house, and you gotta get bigger tanks. Yeah, I'm gonna do plants too, but that's just because animal instinct. Do y'all have yellow firemouth cichlids aquafunk? I've seen them come across the list before. I just wasn't in a position to get them. Now, when I do have an opportunity to get those, and I'm glad you asked that because that's exactly what I'm talking about. When I do have an opportunity to get those, I'll get them. I'll bring them in. I'm not going to bring in 40 of them. It'll probably be just maybe 12, but you're going to have to hurry up and get them because those are really weird fish where they pop up for a while and then you don't see them until a year and a half, 2 years later. So that's where I'm going with mine. I think I'm going to stick with my expertise. I'm going to stick with the videos that I've recommended for angelfish. Pretty much all the fish that I'm going to be selling are angelfish friendly. Because like I said, I am going to have angelfish, so they can always, get there. I bought 4 electric blue rams, quarantined them. All were okay. Went back to LFS, bought 3 more. All fish were same tank. Did you quarantine the 3 fish? Yes. Well, first of all, yeah, I would, because I don't know what the time is in between when you got the fish. Like, let's say you got your first batch of electric blue rams, right? You bought them. They did great. You quarantine them. Boom. They're beautiful. So you're thinking, if I go back to that pet store, they're going to be the same ones. That's not necessarily true. They could have went to a different supplier because these LFSs, they got like 5 or 6 suppliers that they go to, and they switch out every once in a while. It'll have the same fish, but they'll switch them out. Not to mention, from the time that you had them, that you went there and got your first batch, till now, you don't know what nets were being switched around in there. You know what I mean? If they was from the same batch, you could have got lucky and got them before they got sick. Now, some employee went and used the same net in a sick tank, and they put it in the Electric Blue Ram tank that you got fish from, but they're now sick. So yeah, I would quarantine them. I say that, but I ain't gonna lie to you. I rarely quarantine my personal fish, and it's because I know where I get them from. But it has bit me in the butt in the past. But even then, let's be real. Quarantining your fish doesn't guarantee they're not gonna get sick. I know the what's that?
The alternative to yellow fire mounts. They are the
yeah, the Richties.
Yeah.
The Richties. Yeah. Or they call them what, the poor man's something like that. Either way, I've seen those the blue Therichthys too. But anyway, what I'm getting at is I'm gonna be doing all the quarantining, and you're gonna be able to see that. So I think that's the way to go. You have to have a plan, and I think you've had a plan, because we talked about it for a very long time.
Yeah,
a very long time.
Well, and then the other thing is, you start getting into, because I've been asked, are you going to ship? And right now, I can't see where that's profitable for me.
I wouldn't know.
Because the problem is, shipping is so expensive right now. If I try to, even if I use the flat rate boxes, and the smallest one that you can put stuff in, which is you mostly, if I'm doing fish, it'll probably be on the medium sized box. That one's like $20 just for shipping. And I know that they say you could use the third parties that do the high volumes, but how much more are you really saving?
Yeah, no. See, and you're right there. Like, with my problem with shipping is I have to bring in a fish that people think is worth the shipping prices. So I can't just bring in anything. I have to bring in something that people think is worth it. I know a lot of people's like, oh, but you just said electric blue jacks. Well, electric blue jacks are one of those fish where people are scared of to begin with. They might have bought them at the local fish store, and then they died on them because, electric blue rams. But they've looked around, and now they're asking, where's a good place I can get them from online? Because I don't like the ones I get at the store. So electric blue Jack Dempsey's, that's one that I feel people would actually buy, but it has to be the right price. I have to do a lot of balancing and figuring out what's going to work.
And then the other thing is, I guess when this all started, it's your market too. How much competition do you have? Because I know, you being in Florida, it's got to be crazy, because you're dealing with fish farms, and you're dealing with, there's got to be, it seems like everybody I know from Florida is breeding something of some sort.
Yeah. I honestly, if I didn't have a YouTube channel and people knew and people asked me, I probably wouldn't. I'd try and start an LFS before I would do online. You know what I mean? But that's a tough one. You are a very lucky individual, because you got people by the short and curlies being so far away from any mom and pop store. And
well, and here's the other thing where I think I'm at an advantage, is that most of the people that are probably buying stuff for resale, for one, they're not, unless they somehow was able to get a hold of a wholesaler, but more than likely they're having to ship to their home. So that automatically increases the cost, because they had to pay for shipping to come to your doorsteps.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is because if you order fish, you got to drive 3.5 hours just to go pick them up to the nearest airport, whether it's
If
San Diego or Phoenix.
you don't have to, like if I had an if I had an LFS, I can get them from the airport, UPS them to my door, but then I have to pay them. So that money would get tacked on to the fish that the people are buying. So now you have this marble angelfish in there where everybody else is selling it for $9.99, and you're trying to do it for like $14.99, and it's like, yo, what are you, crazy? But they had to because the damn box charges from UPS was ridiculous. And that's why when I was with Casada, it was my biggest hurdle is trying. I had to literally look for airports and only look for stores around the airports. If it was too far away from the airport, I didn't even bother because I knew what they were going to say.
Yeah. And the other thing is, well, what kind of species of fish you're going to sell, and I'm going to be smart about it. I'm going to do more of the community fish, just because I know that's, if you look at all your big box stores, that's what they have is community fish for the most part. They have some cichlids, but the cichlids that I always usually see are Severums, Oscars, convicts, and
Africans.
yeah, just a few of the Africans, but it's not all the species of the Africans. And
parrotfish.
It's the yellow labs, and I don't know what the ones that are like blue with the horizontal black lines, and the females are yellow.
I forget about the names of those, but yeah,
those are the ones that I usually see. And because I don't even see any OBs at any of the well, not at our store. I've never seen any OBs.
I don't.
The yellow labs and that ones, and I forget. There's another blue one. One of them has horizontal lines. The other one has black vertical
up
lines.
and down.
Yeah, I'm not.
I think the yellow one, the one with the vertical lines. I think there's a Kenya. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Those. Yeah. That Masonite. So yeah, I think like the trick is having a plan. Having a plan. What you consider is success and failure. To be honest with you, because I don't know how it's going to work out right now, $100 a month after overhead and costs and all that, I would consider a pass, a success, because I don't know right now what the possibility is in this with the shipping.
Yeah,
that's why I'm staying small.
And I'm also real cognizant of the fact that I can't go ham, just because what's going to happen is initially stuff's going to sell real quick,
and then it's going
to slow down. So I got to pace myself. Let me get this real quick because it's my wife.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Hold the front.
You're in trouble. He's gonna get pop out. So yeah, that's this is my fear, and it's not really a fear because I have is those times where you don't have any fish and nobody's buying right then and there for whatever reason. Everybody went on vacation because it's summertime. So nobody's, they're all going on vacation, so nobody's buying. So yeah, if you went ahead and you overextended yourself when the times are good, you're like, yeah, this is the last month I did great. So I'm growing. When the summertime comes around, because the summertime, I don't know if you guys know this, the industry takes a dive in the summertime because people are spending their money going on vacation. They're like, oh, I'm not going to buy a fish this week because I got to go to the beach. I got to go to Disney World. And then they get back from Disney World and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to hold off because now we got to catch up on bills or whatever. So the first thing to go when times is rough is luxury. And they look at that fish tank, they be like, I need to put food on the table rather than buy another fish. So Yeah, no, I agree what you're saying. Which is, I'm gonna give myself, honestly, before I decide to make it into a big deal. I want to see 2 years on small scale. I want to see 2 years of small scale, and then make that decision how big to grow from there. But yeah,
The one thing that's funny is because I've already had a few people come and buy stuff from me,
yeah,
and they're immediately, "Why did you open up a fish store?" I said, "Why would I want to do that? Why
yeah.
would
You
I
already.
pay? Why would I want to have to pay the overhead for a building when I
Hmm.
can pretty much do what I want to do out of here?" You know, I
Yeah,
have. I know there's that whole. Oh well, you don't know who's going to your house, but then again, I can be very selective because it's here as to who's coming over. You
you
know,
got. I mean, Arizona. Well, I know it was a red state, but you got a pew pew, right? You got a
yeah,
pew pew. Okay,
yeah.
no problem.
Yeah, it's just that's not my concern. But it's just after a while, I really the people that have come here is people that I've known on Facebook for a while
Yeah.
that are other hobbyists. I don't know if I could have a stranger out of the blues. I would sell them, but I would be one of those. I'll meet you at so and so parking lot.
You know what, I get that, but I feel like you'll be doing yourself a disservice, because once they come into you, they're like, okay, let me get
Yeah, but
five angels, and then they go into your place and oh, this dude got Corey cats and plants too. Yeah, let
yeah,
me go. Hey, babe, I'm gonna go ahead and sell this dude. Hey, sell me some money real fast. You know what I mean? Put you
that's
take
exactly
card.
that's exactly what it's been. It's been they come for this, and I never tell them. I never tell them I have anything else.
No,
Once
they
they
come
come
there
in here,
like,
they're like, "Oh shit! Oh, you have this? Yeah, yeah." It's like is that for sale? Yeah, we can do something
so
about it. But I'm not doing that right now because quantities. It's just because of quantities. I don't. I could easily run out of what I have within a week, and then what? Then I gotta wait months to resupply so that they breed and I can grow out stuff. Uh,
well, I mean, yeah, and let that be known. Be like, oh, you got these marble angels. Yeah, but they're not ready. You have to be, you know what I mean? The urge or the thing inside people that be like, oh, these aren't ready, but they're willing to pay even though they aren't ready. Appointments only, yeah.
yeah,
Um,
that's definitely the way
you
I've been
know,
doing it.
so it's weird. Corey did a great YouTube is your
Sure.
transparency. You don't need to have anyone in your home. But yeah, but some of these people don't watch YouTube. They,
Yeah.
they just
Yeah,
hear because
as a matter of fact,
they,
it's funny. A lot of the customers
yeah,
that came in here know me because of Facebook. They don't know me because of YouTube. They don't
yeah, they
even.
don't know.
The only
Yeah,
one that knows me of YouTube is Laro that is in here in the chat, and
yeah,
that's because we've been talking back and forth and stuff like that. But most people don't even know that I do YouTube.
yeah. So having a little self restraint because like, oh, you got these angels right now, and but you only have a couple, and you're like, yeah, dude, I'm not selling these. That's hard to do because they're like, come on, I'll give you this much for.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, now you don't have them no more. Now you have to find new breeders, and or you just sell them all, and all you have is the breeders, and then one of them died. You're like, damn. Now I gotta buy a fish and grow it up big enough, and then you gotta go through the whole process over again. Yeah, that's a toughie.
yeah.
The vast majority of the population,
Doesn't
but
do YouTube.
yeah, a lot. I don't know if they don't do YouTube. They just don't do fish tube.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think a lot of the majority of the population does YouTube in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not as often as we do because there's something wrong with all of us, you people in the chat included. But not fish tube. Like when I was selling fish, I got more business from word of mouth. Hey, you sold so and so some fish. Can I come over and see? Yeah.
the other thing that right now has been really really interesting, and it's not even so much the sales side. It's trying to get a damn freaking permit. Because I mean, the easy thing would be to do a third party, and but it's cost money. It
What do
costs
you mean? What do you mean?
like if you try to get your permits to like LegalZoom or whatever,
Oh
or
yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Oh,
is,
you
but it
did it?
costs. Yeah,
Uh,
I did it. I spent
try.
125.
You see, but that's a lot cheaper than what I'm looking at.
But this
Because
Florida is easier. But okay, so like in Florida is like one of the easiest. Like it's easier. Like if I were to open up a food truck, it would be easier than trying to sell fish out my house.
oh yeah.
Have no standards. Like
Well,
it's great.
the other thing, the other hesitation is because I saw that video from SS Aquascape where he was talking about that he got popped for selling illegal plants in Florida,
and and that's from yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's
and that
wildlife.
I saw that video and I was like, oh, kind of pumped the brakes a little bit on what I
No,
was doing
that's because Florida.
because well, no, and it's not that. It's because what I'm finding out, all these agencies, government agencies, hold you, the vendor, responsible for knowing the
Mhm.
regulations.
As they
So
should. I mean, I kind of
so
it. I
so
think that's
their
fair.
whole thing is independent whether somebody can ship it to you online or not. That's what they're concerned. That they're saying that the responsibility falls you as the vendor to know what you can sell, and that's what I've been doing lately. Has kind of been going, trying to read all this information, and man, it is like watching paint dry. I don't like it, it's such in legal terms that you have to read it like 3 or 4 times to really try to understand what it is they're saying.
So when I started doing this because look, I have the ability living in Florida of catching fish and selling them. I got my LLC through LegalZoom, paid $300. Oof.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I went through. I called Ryan and I
uh-huh.
said, bro, because Ryan he sells fish, but he sells a lot of fish that he catches. Um, and he was going into the whole thing on how many different agencies and how many different forms I had to fill out. And I was like, now a lot of this is because the fish you catch is from Florida's waters, right? And because Dan at Consolidated doesn't have to deal with a lot of those things because all the fish he sells are in a commercial setting. He's not getting them from the wild. So whenever like as far as Florida goes, when it comes to wildlife, that's where you get more trouble with the wildlife than you can, committing other crimes sometimes. Aqua Funk, where in Florida you from? I'm not from Florida. I just happen to be living here at the moment. I'm not a Floridian. I'm from here.
Well, interesting because in the process of this, I've been talking to a couple of people that I know that do this pretty much as a income source.
Yeah,
I said, "Well, what did you do to go about doing this?" And their response is, "I didn't get
nothing.
anything."
No. They just did.
You know, like,
And
well, how do you buy fish? And it's like, well, there's wholesalers that could tell you. But I think really what it is they've become friends because they have access to local
yeah,
LFS, and
yeah,
through the LFS, they're placing their orders along with the store.
yeah.
Which
So that
yeah,
happens. Or they're going through like do we like when I was working at Kasai, there was a butcher shop that tried to buy fish from us. Now there was two things that was. One is the butcher place. The owner was a fish enthusiast and was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna get a bunch of fish for myself for cheap." Or the butcher knew somebody and it was like, "Yo, you got a tax ID number." Now the problem with that, like you said earlier, is a lot of reputable. Listen, and before I go any further, I do have to give a shout out to Corey. Go look at his series he has on how to do a fish business and what's that name? He has letters and I'm dyslexic. SWL. He wrote in
oh
there. What
yeah,
do you
yeah,
need? He
Southwest Southwest
yeah
Florida,
yeah.
Aquatic.
I'll get to that question, but so Corey did a very very good. I say it's good because he kind of covered it. Some of it is is the same as what he said the last time on another video, but that just means He means it. But he said in there, and it's 100% true. I can tell you right there, it's true. So if I am a reputable wholesaler, right, and Mexicali's my buddy, and he goes, "Hey Jay, hook me up, sell me for sell me wholesale prices. I'm gonna go ahead and do my little side hustle," and I do that. If Mexicali ever gets busted by the IRS, and they be like, "Well, where you getting your fish from?" Consolidated. He knows that because on the credit card statements, the IRS done went through his credit card statements and all this stuff, and they're like, "Oh, Consolidated sold you this fish, huh?" Now I could be totally legit, but because I sold it to him, now they're looking at my stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth the trouble of dealing with one guy who's trying to trying to be slick and buck the system and totally wreck your whole business. So they don't. If someone is selling you wholesale fish on the slide, you gotta question. You know what I'm saying?
The whole thing is, I just rather do stuff on the up and up. It's less trouble.
It's less trouble. That's what it is. That's what I'm saying.
But there is that whole thing that I do have to figure out, because I've been looking at it. What really tripped me up was the whole plant, because of the invasive species plants and all that stuff. So now I'm trying to find out, okay, if I'm bringing in plants, am I going to run into an issue where I'm probably selling illegal plants? And that's what I've been trying to find lately.
Call up, because this is what Monday I have to do this. Monday I have to call up FWC and say, "Hey, look, I'm starting a business selling fish. Some of these fish I'm going to be getting from the wild." Of course, they're going to be like, "Well, you need to know your black and white list." Okay. And I said, "I am going to be selling plants at my store." "Oh, you selling plants? So plants are leaving Florida and going to another state." "Yeah, but it's not wild plants." "Yeah, well, we just want to make sure. So you probably have to get a permit for that." And a lot of these permits are just acknowledgments saying that that's illegal.
Oh,
okay. Or that's a problem. You know what I mean? They're more certification than permits. They're certifications, So that's what I got from Ryan. So, but to order from most wholesalers, you just need your EIN number. They just want to make sure that when the tax man comes, you could be like, "Yo, this dude on paper, he's legit. Leave me alone." You know what I mean? I didn't do nothing wrong.
Yeah. So that's what's really been interesting about this whole process, is learning about that. Not all states are the same. Every state is a little bit different. Some are easier, some are a lot more difficult. Right now, the only problem I've had here, and I don't know if it's because we're a small town, I went down to the county office to get information, and they just refer me back to the website. No, you got to go back to the website.
Yeah, I hate that.
It's like, well, then why are you here? It's just some basic questions. And their thing was like, well, we can't give you legal advice on. Well, I'm not asking for legal advice. I'm just asking for, basic information. Well, yeah, it's on the website. You got to go. I was like, oh. And I said, all right, thank you. And took off. But that's. I think I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to bite the bullet. Go do the consultation with the person that does my taxes.
Yeah, you are.
Just have them do it for me.
Well, what you talking about? Get the licensings? Oh, okay. Yeah. I got QuickBooks because I wanted to keep on. No, I mean for tax time coming around. Yeah, no,
I can do that.
Yeah.
No, what I was talking about is for them to be able to get file all the proper documents, because they do manage local businesses here, so they do all the setups and stuff like that.
I think the only problem you're going to run into is trying to have a home-based business.
Yeah.
Luckily in Florida, that's not a problem. Home-based businesses and stuff, like you can have a whole kitchen out of Florida. They won't say nothing. But in most states, that's the biggest hurdle with home-based businesses, is whether its zone to be a business. What's that?
Yeah, it's Brand saying that neither of you have hit on inverts yet. That they're
Well,
not snails and shrimp, right? Yeah,
yeah,
that's the other thing they keep asking for here. I have a little bit of the sherry shrimp and the blue dreams that I've kind of been breeding here, but yeah, that's something definitely that I would bring in. I was telling Funk that I wanted to get the real basic ones, uh, cherries and just the regular cherries. I don't even have to. I'm not going to go down this, the super reds and the Bloody Mary. No, just regular cherries, regular blue dreams, some yellows and some oranges, and that's it.
that's because your demographic doesn't really call for that,
Yeah,
right? With
yeah.
me, and I was telling Mexicali earlier today, I was like, I'm not getting into this for right now. For right now, I'm not getting into a arena of a species that I really don't know anything about. I've never been a shrimp guy. Yeah, yeah, Neurite snails and mystery snails.
Yeah.
Sure, not a problem. Um, but other than that, I don't see. I mean, you
And
know,
that's they sell, but they don't. They sell, but it's not like the snails. Because I knew one of the guys that came and bought some angels because he's getting back into it.
yeah,
He was selling mystery snails. He had purples. He had all the colors. He
yeah,
said after a while, he was just sitting on them. Nobody wanted to buy them. So
yeah.
that's where I'm taking all this information that I've been learning from these people, and I'm going to try to apply it to my situation so that I don't stumble over the same things they did. I think what I'll sell is not going to be like on a daily basis. Maybe about once a month I'll publish, hey, I got inventory. Anybody that's interesting, just make an appointment and we'll sell. Because
I'll
again, it right now is just kind of like almost like a
I'll
public service.
yeah I'll do like, hey, I got mystery snails, but I'm not gonna. I'll sell a pack of 6 assorted mystery snails. I'm at a really decent price, so that you can. Oh, I bought some angels, or I bought some some black rams. Let me go ahead and get some mystery snails. Probably 3, assorted 3, because I'm not a snail guy. You know what I mean? I don't know. And I think that's where I'll start being ingenuous, is being like, yeah, I got this something or other, but that's not my area of expertise. My expertise is more in cichlids. So
Yeah. So
that's where I'm at that.
and I think anybody that's interested in starting a business is start finding out where's the gap, what's
Yeah,
missing. The other
and
thing that I told you about this morning that I thought, oh, you know what? Because again, this is just from listening to the people in the community's comments. Uh, but I don't know if I can source it. Is I was trying to find an inexpensive aquarium light, inexpensive sponge filter, and inexpensive heaters,
you
and they
totally
don't.
can.
Yeah, and they don't even have to be like brand
No,
stuff because a
no.
lot of the times you see people trying to find an inexpensive. They don't want to spend all this money on it. They just need a light because the one that they had broke and now they need it, or the heaters especially.
Yeah,
Heaters are the big one. And if you have some that are relatively kind of like, I would say disposable, call them disposable, so it gets them out of a jam because it never fails. Heaters always break when the store's closed. It always, or
yeah,
where you don't have access to them. So just having a few of those, hard items uh,
yeah.
available, but I don't want to spend a lot of money on stuff. It could be stuff that I could easily turn around for a few bucks and it just to have here because it won't, it's always somebody on the groups asking, hey, does somebody have an extra light? Does somebody have, those are the 3 things that always come up.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I am going to sell fish food.
the
I am
food,
going to sell fish food.
yeah, I don't think I'm at that point yet, just because they can get food just about anywhere. Even the Walmart has food.
Yeah, but I feel like if they're gonna come to my particular site and look for that special fish that they can't find, that they would also be interested in a food that I would suggest. And I have in the past, a lot of you guys don't know, I have in the past tested out with in fact Mexicali
Mhm.
and other
Yeah, I
YouTubers.
never told them
Yeah,
who the source was.
yeah, Mexicali and other YouTubers of fish food that I would like to start selling, and I've used it. I just ran out. I just ran out.
I'm actually
Um,
hold on.
so let me go ahead and tell y'all. So I just ran out. So I need to get more. But I've tested fish foods, and
Of
um
all the stuff you send me,
uh
all that's left. This is it.
and that's the high protein crisps. Yeah, yeah.
And everything the fish ate, with the exception of the wafers.
Those
The wafers
wafers.
were
Yeah,
a
yeah.
horrible
Um,
fail.
I didn't. I threw them away. I threw mine away.
They're
So
so bad that
yeah,
Obi, like any of the other wafers that I get, especially
yeah,
the Hygar. No, no, not
yeah.
Hygar.
Hygar,
No, no, not
Hikari.
Hikari.
Yeah,
He'll eat them like Scooby snacks,
yeah,
and these other ones he just goes like,
yeah.
it is so funny. But
So when I advertise, so when I do have the food ready, packaged and ready to go, I am gonna show my fish. I am super. I am super super. What's the word I'm looking for? Excited and amped up about this fish food because I've been using it for months now, and I look at my tank and my water is super crystal clear, no cloudiness, no detritus on the bottom of the tank. Granted, I do have some scavengers and stuff like that. What color are
toenails.
my toenails? I think I know where that's from. Is that from oh boy with the colorful nails? We'll talk. Dude, there's this guy. I forgot what was his name. I can't believe I forgot K9 something or other. Anyway, um, I'm super impressed with the health of my fish. I'm super impressed with the color of my fish. I'm super impressed with the quality, the water. I'm super impressed with how they attack the fish, the food. Um, and that was it. That's what I wanted to know from you guys. If how do you notice a difference? Um, yeah, Kevin. I wish I could get into that whole deal with Kevin, man. That was funny. Hey, you want to know the truth? Occasionally, he'll send me pictures of his toenails and his fingers. Occasionally, he hasn't done it in a while, but he'll
He hasn't
occasionally.
done anything in a while. He just
No,
kind of
I know he kind of just fell off, but for a while he was sending me pictures on my phone of his when he got of his toenails, little stubby. He had little stubby toes, little stubby stuff, look like hobbit toes. Had hair on the toes and everything, but they were
yeah.
colorful.
You know what's interesting on the whole food thing, and we've had this discussion back and
Yeah.
forth, but I now at this point, and as long as I've been doing this, I've done Dr. Basilier, I've done
Yeah.
Northfin, I've done
Hmm.
um, um ah, the guy that sells that I always used to buy his food. God, what's his name?
Ken.
Yeah, Ken's Fish Food.
Yeah.
The food you send me, I've done One Source. Is it One Source? No, what is it? The one that
Yeah.
yeah.
I know what you're
Well,
saying.
yeah, but I really haven't, and I've tried Extreme, and you know what? Funny enough, the flakes, the ones that Corey swears by, those krill, they didn't do very well in my fish room. The krill flakes, the pellets, I've tried, and they do they. To be honest, I can't tell a visible difference on how my fish react to the food as far as consuming it. They'll eat it. They'll eat everything pretty much the same. Now, as far as quality of what the fish looked like,
Uh-huh.
it's hard to tell with the sample. I
With the
think a lot
with
of
the
these foods, yeah, you know how they usually give you a little
yeah,
sample.
yeah, you have to send a bunch of it to tell. You can't do for the sample.
You would have to do the food over a certain amount of period,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm thinking months, so that you can see a discernible
yeah. So
difference.
let me ask you real fast. Did you feed the flakes that I sent you?
Hmm.
Did the fish like that?
Oh, the angels loved it. The
Now see,
angels loved it.
and that's crazy because that particular flake was heavy krill. It was heavy. It wasn't straight krill, but it was heavy krill infused for color and protein. But it wasn't all just straight krill. I have seen krill flakes, and I'm like, I feel like that's, So I'm glad to hear that. I really am. It may and I even if it was a big flop, good. Let me know so I could stay away from it. All the food that I look. Here's the thing with food, man. We've had this discussion on food a bunch of times. If your fish eat it and you're happy with it, I don't care what brand you get. Continue getting that brand. But if you're gonna ask me my personal opinion, I haven't tried every fish food in the world. I haven't. So I can't go, oh, that's a good one or that's a bad one. I can tell you I've tried this one and my results are, I'm happy as hell. So that's what I'm going to offer on my website. Do I think, well, there's some that I think, wouldn't call them bad. I just think they're hyped up. I think Extreme is a hyped up brand. I think it's a good food, but if you, on paper, when I look at the back of Extreme and I look at the back of Tetra, and then I look at the front where the price is, I'm like, yeah, I'm a Tetra man all day long. But I just,
and that's the point that I was trying to make is,
yeah,
I think cost is pretty much irrelevant at this point for me. I think,
what do you mean?
Where I'm not gonna go drop more money on food when my fish will eat the lesser price food just as well, and they're gonna be
and it doesn't have any ill effects.
Yeah,
and it doesn't have any effect, and that's what so my price point on the food I'm going to sell is way, it's down at the Ken range, the Ken range. So I'm happy with it. I'm extremely happy with it, actually. Because I want to do a I want to, like, I did a what was it? It was a members only. I was like, I hate top 10 lists. I can't stand them. And I was like, I want to do top 10 reasons why my tank is crystal clean. I was like, really? There's not a top 10. There's a top 2. There's a top 2 reasons why people could have crystal clear water. The one of it is, don't overfeed your tank, use good food but not too much of it, and beneficial bacteria. To me, that's all it is. That's all it is. But
and to me,
I don't care what type of filter you have.
I guess if you really want to go get nitty gritty on the food,
yeah,
the most success that I've had with food, especially when it comes to breeding, there's no equivalent to live food. Live food all day long.
Yeah, no, you're right. And the problem with, obviously online,
is keeping the cultures. It's just
keeping them alive. You end
up doing a lot more maintenance on trying to keep these live foods alive than sometimes the trouble you want to go through. I guess for me, if I didn't have to go to work, it wouldn't be a problem. But the problem is, I work. I'm away from the house 8 hours out of the day.
Yep.
And and then if you go on vacation, you got to make sure that you set them up, so that in those 2 weeks you're gone, the colony doesn't crash on you or something like that.
I can tell you this though, I guarantee you, if you have people buying fish and they come to your house and you have colonies of live food ready to go, they will snatch a bottle of it. They will do it. I'm telling you. People want live foods at pet stores all the damn time, but
they do until they don't. And what I'm getting at is, they all want microworms, but they don't want to deal with what the microworms smell like when they're in the container. Everybody's it's the biggest gripe. You open it up and it smells like decomposing.
Yeah. But I
And
mean that's because at the pet store. Well, okay, so like if you was doing microworms, right? Chances are you're the food, the subst, whatever the hell is called that they living in, is gonna be changed out periodically. I can tell you right now, I worked at a pet store where we had live food cultures and stuff like that. We never changed any of that stuff out. What it came with is what it went home with with stank nasty food. So chances are yours will be a whole lot better. People will be like, "Oh, this is good." But
but what I'm saying again, the people
yeah,
want live foods until they have to deal with what comes with live food. It's the smells. Probably the least offensive would probably be the vinegar eels because I don't really mind the smell of vinegar, but some people do. They can't stand it.
but don't they have a cap? You put a cap on those, right?
Not a sealed cap. It's got to be
Oh,
able to
okay.
breathe. And the other, but my biggest problem is my current situation is the heat. My colonies do excellent in the winter because of the temperature. I can leave them out, not a problem. But as soon as the temperatures start rising, they just
Now,
crash. They start crashing.
could you go on Craigslist, find yourself one of them little mini fridges, and set the temperature?
Too cold. I from what I've at least from see I haven't. I need to find somebody that does cultures all the time because I've asked people if I put them in the refrigerator, they go, "Oh, you're gonna kill them," and it's
But
like
what if you have the refrigerator at its highest level? Like
it's still too
the
cold.
warmest it can, because
It would
the
have to be almost like which is the one refrigerator that they sell that is not too cold. I think it's like a wine
yeah, a
refrigerator that
chiller.
you can actually
Oh,
turn on.
yeah. So the reason why I asked that is because I know they have a cooler or refrigerator or whatever at my local LFS. I can actually ask for you because I got to go tomorrow. I'm gonna go tomorrow. They have live cultures in it. It's saltwater cultures, but still they're alive. Like you can see them swimming around even in there. I could ask for you because I think a wine cooler. Yeah. Um, I
That's the
Grundle
Brindle.
worms on
Yeah,
coconut fibers have no
yeah.
odor.
The only problem I've had with grindle worms was gnats. I ended up getting a lot of gnats, and
Not if
even
they're in a cooler though.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I would check
but
into it.
yeah, and
I
the
would check
problem
into it.
if you don't get them soon enough, that whole colony will get just full of gnats. But yeah, that's those are the things that I've kind of been finding really interesting now that I'm kind of contemplating the idea of starting up a business. I didn't realize all the in and outs that you need to know, and then the expectations that you have to have too. Those you have to be very very realistic
Yeah.
as to what's going to happen. It's not again. I know some people are trying to make it maybe like a permanent source of income, and I think eventually you can get there, but it's not going to be off the bat. I
So
think it takes years to get to that
yeah.
point.
So real fast, I just went on Facebook Marketplace and they got $30 a wine cooler, $40, $55, $40, $40, and they're decent size. They're the size of a mini fridge.
Yeah,
$75. Yeah,
don't need anything bigger than that.
$35. This is a big one. 85. This looks brand new with a glass front. Yeah, dude. I think that's totally manageable. Like if you go
Yeah,
on
or
Facebook Market.
I just need to put the damn mini split in here. That's gonna solve
Yeah, true.
all my problems.
Yeah, I think you're right. Though is you have to set yourself up a realistic plan. So let's talk about this for a second. So for those people out there who's like, you know what, I think I might want to sell out my house because let's be real, that's the easiest way to do it is a sell. I got me a whatchamacallit license. I got my EIN. I could buy wholesale. So what to sell out your house? I'm gonna tell you right now, don't try and compete with Petco or PetSmart. You'll never beat their prices. And if people come into your house, they're coming to your house for two reasons. One is they're fish geeks and they want to buy fish from another fish geek, or two, they're cheap and they're gonna try and work on prices, which at that point you're like, nah, this is the price is what it is. You don't want to get into that, because then every time that person comes to you, they're gonna be like, oh well, how about if I get, well, how much would you give me? Like, I remember when I was selling angels that I was breeding out of the thing, I'd have angels and I'd tell them they're $5 a piece. Well, what if I get 6 of them? I go 5, 10, 15, 20, $30. You know, even if I get 6, like, freaking these are high quality angels that you're getting for $5. All right, and the only reason why they're $5 because I don't have the overhead. I don't need to charge you $9.99. I can actually sell them for $9.99, and you'll still be getting a deal, opposed to going to PetSmart and Petco. You know, so I would stick. Okay, so I said I'm gonna do angels, right? Petco, PetSmart ain't gonna have Blue Angels, Veil Blue Angels. I am, you know, so I'm not gonna. You're not gonna see Marvels. I have had peeps come by
just to look at the fish room, and
yeah, and that's another thing. People who want to talk for a long time, you know, you got to be able to be like, all right, I got stuff I got to do. You got to, you know, come back again when you got more money, you know. But I would stay away from fish that you can get from Petco or PetSmart.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of them in the area. What about you? You got a fish that you wouldn't? You got to definitely. I probably would not go there. I would not touch this with a 10-foot pole.
The way I'm going to treat that, because there's a lot of guys that like a lot of the monster fish down here.
Yeah.
If I can get access to it, it'll be one of those on per customer, and I need
pay in advance.
Yeah, pay in advance because I don't want to get stuck with it. You know,
and you have to pick it up within a certain amount of time, or is I'm not going to hold this fish here for 2 months, and then you know. Well, and you're not getting your money back.
I would never bring in common plecos.
No.
Not bringing in common plecos.
See, you are going to do mutt guppies.
Yeah.
That's
what I found out in my market, that they want guppies. They don't. I was telling them I could probably bring in. I started naming different lines and all this. They're like, no, I just like these that are colored. And you know, I have a couple of straight lines in my tanks, and the guy that bought them, he wanted 5, 5, and 5 and 5. You know, he wanted 20. And I said I was starting to bag them in different bags. He goes, no, just put them in the same bag. I'm going to put them in the same aquarium. So that was an eye opener to me, because it's like, well, then what's the point? I mean,
I'm going through all the trouble.
Yeah, if I were to get somebody saying, hey, can you get some blue Moscows? Can you get some double ear mosaics? Then that would be like, okay, I can get you a trio for this much. But other than that, I'm just doing straight fancy mixed guppies. That's it.
See,
real easy.
When I did my breeding for profit guppy thing, it was incredible how much people would spend on guppies. I was amazed at that. And if I had the time to keep up with the lines and the culling, I would. I feel like that would have really turned into something. But they kept getting past me, where there was like a fish that was got pregnant that I didn't want, that I was like, oh, I don't know if I want you to be pregnant. And so they got past me, and I was like, I don't have the time to do all that. All things fish. And from Dan's Fish specializes in less common things, built a customer base, and now his customers are requesting the stuff you can get in
in the chain store because they know it's solid reputation. That's pretty much what you were talking about, with
Yeah,
and again, I
yeah,
think that's going to be dictated by your market and your business plan. If you
yeah,
are automatically going to be shipping, then your market becomes that much broader.
yeah.
But the thing with shipping that I'm finding out is you're not going to be shipping fancy guppies. You're not going to be shipping.
I don't know. I'm telling you, I had a friend out RLC Aquatics. I don't know if you know him. He was getting $85 for a trio, shipping them all day
That
long.
those are straight lines. What I was
Yeah.
referring to, like
Oh, muck guppies. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but that's what my customer base here really enjoys. So
Hmm.
it just makes more sense. I wouldn't now if you're trying to if you have access to like really rare or uncommon fish, then that's where it becomes appealing to be able to ship for my situation currently right now.
Yeah, you would
Maybe
have
down,
to.
yeah, maybe down the road, um, that changes.
Hmm.
Whether it's I've had enough business where it makes sense to ship, then that would
Yeah.
be something very different. But right now, like I said, I don't want to get overwhelmed. I enjoy the interaction with people coming over, having the conversations. It's always interesting because they come for the one thing and they've never left with
No.
just that one thing.
Yeah.
Never. It's always
So
been, oh, you have this, oh, you have that, and it's always add on, add on, add on, add on. And
so
what starts off as a what do you want to say $8 sale
yeah,
ends up being a $35-$40 sale by
yeah.
the end of the conversation.
100%, 100%. I am going nowhere near like we had this discussion earlier. I came across a possible discus connect. I and the more I thought about it, I was like, oh man, that's so much. So the higher the value of the fish, the higher the risk is to you as a seller. So I could go ahead and get these discus in and sell them, and something's gonna go wrong when you're selling online. There's no way around it. It's gonna happen. Now you have to figure out what type of store you're gonna be. Are you gonna be the guy that F you? That's on you. Or are you gonna try and make it right and just refund them the money? Um, like how much liability are you willing to take? You know, the more expensive the fish, the more expensive the liability. I think you're not gonna see $35 fish. Well, you might see, but depending on what it is. But if something happens, then I'm gonna make it right. But I do worry about that. That's my biggest fear is what happens to that guy who don't know what he's doing and he gets these fish and he totally screws it up and calls me crying. Am I knowingly like I know this guy screwed it up, but whatever.
The other thing that just kind of dawned on me, and I took that for granted because I know you. So I know that you gave me the source for the wholesaler that I could potentially buy from. But
Yeah.
somebody who doesn't have that option, how do you find wholesalers? Are wholesalers advertised on the internet or
So you can literally Google wholesale fish companies or
okay?
wholesale tropical fish, but they're not going to give you crap to look at. They're going to give you're going to, in order to look at that website, you're going to have to sign in as a legal business with the proper um, forms, which was pretty much ELN, EIN, yeah, business name, business phone number, business address. You're gonna have to do that before they even let you look at their list of fish that are available to you as a wholesaler or as a retailer. But I did it yesterday. I was like, oh, let me see if there's any, which there are, in Florida. I'm in Central Florida, so I can pick up fish directly from wholesalers in Florida without having to pay shipping fees. Because that's what I was looking at. I was like,
That's nice.
I don't have to pay shipping. I don't even have to pay box charges if I take a tote with me and go like, yo, fill this tote up. You keep your boxes, keep your heat pads. I don't have to
Where
pay any of that.
where the hell are these wholesalers? I've been looking for them.
Go
Ever
go
since I was
online.
told
Yeah.
that you can find them and they don't care, it's like you have to call and ask them. Probably is that the way that works to see if they'll sell you fish without.
Without the first of all, they probably be like no and hang up on you because they don't know who you are. That's like somebody like let's say you're independent pharmaceutical sales representative, and somebody just says, "Hey, you got any on you?" They're gonna be like, "No, I don't know. You could be a cop." You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, they're not gonna they're gonna be like, "No, I don't know you, buddy." And if they did do it, you would have to know somebody who knew them. And hey, I'm a friend of Ralphie's, and he said you could hook me up. Ralphie said that. I'm gonna punch Ralphie in his mouth. Ralphie shouldn't have told you that. Now, if it was like Ralphie talked to you and was like, "Hey, I got a friend. He wants to buy fish from you wholesale. He don't have a license," and you already agreed to it, then there could probably be something there. But yeah, so people are not gonna risk. That's the thing. Like, and it's funny because even when I used to work at the pet store, right? I used to always come across these people. I would bag up these fish. I would take them to the counter. I'd ring them up and be like, "Man, come on, you can hook me." In fact, here's a story. I almost got in a fight with this dude, right? This dude, he pissed me off so bad because his whole mentality offended me.
Okay.
He comes in, he says, "Yo, he wanted to buy like something very cheap. It was feeder goldfish or something like that." And he hands me a 20. And I look at this 20, I'm like, "Bro, this looks like Monopoly money. Like literally, you trying to pass off this is the worst counterfeit bill I've ever seen in my life." It's like, "Come on, man, it's not your money, you know." And in my head, I'm like, "Bro, I don't know you. Why am I gonna risk my job for you? What am I getting out of it? You getting 19 because it was like $1 a dozen. You getting 19 real dollars, and you giving the store a fake 20. Somebody gonna have to answer for that fake 20. Why would I put my job at risk? I don't know you. All you trying to do is do something for yourself. You know what I'm saying? You didn't even offer me $5 of that money. You know what I mean? You just automatically assume I'm gonna give you this." So people are not gonna risk their livelihoods so that one person could get over, So yeah, you know. I just get it. Just do it the legit way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Dude,
I know Aquahunas. That's because Mike, All Things Fish, is talking about Aquahuna, and you and I had that conversation because I was telling you some of the pricing that they had on there. And,
okay.
And how are they doing that?
So I'm gonna be 100% with you. I don't know Aquahuna's backstage thing, but outside looking in, Aquahuna seems to be doing something that, and I'm gonna say it's to their credit, but it's also a huge risk that they're doing. So outside looking in, from knowing how much fish costs wholesale and knowing price increases, markups, and all that, what it looks like Aquahuna is doing is buying in large numbers. Now, just like in anything, when you buy from a fish farm or a wholesaler, this is how much one costs. But if you buy 25 of them, it comes down a couple of cents. If you buy 50 of them, it comes down even more. If you buy 200 of them, it comes down even more. Now, you can do two things with that price reduction, that price break, that special. You can put these fish in your store and be like, "Okay, I bought this fish for this much. If I put my markup, it brings me up to this much. But the retail, the going rate everywhere else is this much. So if I bring my price up to right there, that's just more profit for me." That's good business wise. Now, the other thing you can do is go, I bought the fish for this much from the wholesaler. After I put my market is this much, my markup is this much. Now the going rate around town is this much, but I'm gonna keep it right here. I'm gonna keep it this low, and I'm gonna pass the savings on to the customer in hopes that they just buy more. The more they buy, well, then I may not get as many pennies for that one sale, but it's a lot of sales equaling a lot of pennies. So Aquahuna seems to be passing on their discount to where it's not actually wholesale, but it's the best thing you can get outside of that. And it's risky. It's risky because you don't really have a whole lot of cushion if something goes wrong. And kudos to them if that's how they're doing it. Like I said, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how I don't know their backstage behind the curtain of what Aquahuna, but that's what it looks like. Because I did the math of how much some of the stuff costs and how much I was like, it looks like. I mean, let's be real. There's no way they can buy something wholesale and then sell it wholesale. That don't. I mean, like that just is impossible to do. You know, you just don't make no money. In fact, you waste money feeding the damn thing and keeping it until it sells. So they have to be making some type of money. I think they're passing on their savings. I think they're buying in huge quantities and passing on their savings, to which I say a lot of people say they do that. They seem to be doing that, which is cool. So good for you, Aquahuna, if that's what you're doing. And I hope everything works out and you continue to keep doing that. Because that's risky because you don't leave yourself the cushion. You know what I mean? That's my personal opinion. I don't know. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that, like I said, it was also considering to ship or not to ship.
Yeah.
And I think for the time being, it's one of those things where, because the other thing that I see with as your business progresses, shipping can take up into an entire day process. Trying to prepare all the orders, and then you have to make sure that you ship during the right time of the week, because the last thing you want is you shipped out too late and your stuff is sitting at a warehouse somewhere because it's the weekend and they don't move
or the right time of the year.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing, is because you could have nice weather here, like our winters. It could be maybe like in the 60s, 50s.
Yeah.
But where if I go to send to Jeff, it's going to be maybe in the low 30s, low 20s, not in the zeros.
Yeah.
So those are all things that you have to learn and prepare for, which also increments the cost of shipping. So
it does.
That whole shipping maybe right now, and that's the one thing that I understand why Corey keeps saying that he doesn't want to ship, because it's a whole other expense. And if anybody could really sell a lot more if they ship with him, because people would they'll buy platies and mollies just because they're coming from the store.
Yeah. So from what I understand, the way Corey does his stuff, financially, that was the biggest risk, the biggest lowest reward with shipping fish. Because let's be real, it's just not there. And he had a couple of irons in the fire. He started out with his pet store and his YouTube channel, and his YouTube channel. And I'm sure his YouTube channel makes more than his pet store alone. Now I'm talking about just the pet store. Just the pet store. I'm sure his YouTube channel makes more than the pet store. I know his other endeavors, like selling of goods and all that. I know that makes more than the pet store. So the pet store was a nice launching pad. Now, to use that launching pad and try and turn it into something more by shipping, when you had all these other things going on that was making good money, and you're over here taking a risk on something that's a low reward risk, it didn't make sense. It wouldn't have made sense to anybody when you saw the numbers. Again, I don't know what happens behind the scenes at Aquarium Co-op, but outside looking in, that's probably the case. Probably. Because you do have to deal with way more. I mean, especially with a pet store and you sell online, you have to separate stuff, and the inventory control alone. Somebody types in, "Oh, he got 24 angels available. I want 6 of them." But somebody walked in and bought 6, so now it's not 24. You know what I mean? It's not 24 anymore, and then somebody else bought some. So by the time they get around to pulling the fish, because now they have to, that fish that someone bought, they took it from the store, went home. The fish that you bought online, they got to take it from the store. They got to take it to the back. They got to do all this other stuff. And it's, who's gonna fix the inventory? Who's gonna let you know, on the computer that someone just bought a buttload of angels? So, yeah.
And the crazy thing is, there's actually an ideal spot that's been vacant. It used to be like an old Circle K, like a convenience store.
Mm-hmm.
But now it doesn't have a gas station. It used to just be when it was just a convenience store, and it's a prime location. They've tried making it a couple of things here and there, and they've failed, which is probably a good indication why. That's probably not a prime spot.
Yeah. The sad part is, here's the sad part. As someone who's thinking about starting a business, a lot of us, I know back in the day I did, I was thinking, I'm going to be a pioneer in selling this or that or whatever. But just like in YouTube, you're probably not the first one to think of that. And the reason why it don't exist is probably because it don't work. You know what I mean? And that's the sad part. It's like, oh, so nobody can ever be a pioneer. I mean, yeah, you got Elon Musk. He pioneered this whole, but even him, he didn't even invent crap. You know what I mean? He hired people. He came up with an idea and hired people to make it real. So it's like, that's the sad part. That's the sad part.
Well, and this thing, they keep saying that there used to be 2 shops here.
Yeah,
but what's interesting? Were
they fish stores or pet stores? Dogs, cats, reptiles.
No, they were fish stores, from what I understand.
See, they may want to try a full line pet store, because now you have dog people, cat people.
What happened to them is they retired, and the kids didn't want to take up the business. They didn't have anybody else to continue the business, so they ended up closing. But
that's a good thing too. Like sometimes, do you want to start a fish store? There's no fish stores in your area, and there's probably a reason. But there's probably cats. People who have fish also have dogs. For some reason, people who have fish have cats too. That's weird to me.
But the thing with that is, we have like 3 different Walmarts. We have, they all sell cat food and they sell all that stuff. I wouldn't do if I did a store, it would be strictly aquariums. I don't know much about reptiles to do any reptiles and stuff like that, or birds. I just don't want to get into all that.
Here's a good one. I live in Lakeland, Florida, right? So we have Daryl's Aquarium. Good friend of mine. I love Daryl to death. I love everybody who works there. Awesome people. That's my LFS local. Consolidated is my LFS, whatever. Now we're in North Florida, North. They call it the northern part, North Lakeland. If I were to open up, who says something funny?
Matt, he says, "Who's eating the cats?" I was gonna reply to that, but I'll probably get flagged for what I'm gonna say, because we know who's cooking them up. They're delicious.
They taste delicious. Cat, you put some adobo on some cats. Put some seconds on there. Give me a second.
Even if I say what I put on it, everybody will know, and then they'll be like, "You racist," but it's good.
So, like, I would not open up a. Daryl's has been here for. Actually, he hasn't been here a long time. He actually put somebody out of business that's been around longer, and it wasn't that he put people out of business. It's the other store that was here for a long time never did anything to up their game. They had crappy service. The tanks started looking like crap. They took for granted that they was the only pet store and the only fish store in the area. Then Daryl's came around, and what did he do? He opened up damn near a month before the pandemic. You know what I mean? So Daryl came around, and he actually when I met him, it was in the middle of the pandemic, and he was struggling, but he still had core customers coming in spending money because he gave them that customer service. You know what I mean? He did all that stuff. He took care of his things. He had good stock. So if you were to open up an LFS, do you really want to take on Daryl? No. Heck no. I love Daryl. And you know what? If I love Daryl, a lot of other people around here love him too. I'd go to South Lakeland. The reason why I go to South Lakeland, the income is higher. The average income per household down in South Lakeland is higher. So I'd open one down there.
Yeah, for me it'd be I don't have any interest in that, just because having a business like that, you can't afford not open, because you need to have income coming in for the bill. Unless you own the building outright, then that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
I know my wife and I have talked about relocating, probably here in town or whatever. But I told her if we move to a different house, it's going to be a house with a structure, whether it's a detached garage or something like that. And that I could easily do as a full on fish store, because I'm not paying for a rent. It's already part of my property. I'm already making a mortgage payment on that. But to try to go take on another structure and pay a monthly, I don't see it happening. I don't want that stress. I don't want that stress of, this month we're going to be short because we didn't have enough sales, or like what ends up eventually happening with a lot of fish stores. There's just something that goes bad. You have a big problem with a tank breaking, or there's so much stuff that can happen. Stuff breaks, all that other things.
The biggest problem with a fish store only is the first time the country has an economic issue, the luxuries, the creature comforts are the first thing that gets put on hold. And if your entire store is based on one specific, like, you're still gonna buy dog food. You have a chance if you have birds, reptiles, because people don't have crickets just running around. They don't have rats just running around. They have to go get that stuff for their snakes or whatever. But if you have just fish, and that hits hard. That hits real hard. So, like a pandemic, you're kind of SOL. I'm glad Daryl made it through there, because he really is a good guy. All the people there, like I said, they're all good people. I would never ever assume, unless the only way I'd open up a fish store in this area would be if it was a boutique. And what I say by that is, like you say, small fish. It's going to be heavy aquascaping, heavy nano tanks, heavy nano fish, heavy plants, lights and stuff like that. But if I could get them at a price rate, if I could buy them so that I can sell them at a price rate that's competitive, and it would be a small boutique. It would be the size of, you walk into like barbershops in those little strip malls. The little strip malls of the size of those barbershops. It would be that size. It would be that size. Yeah. It wouldn't be bigger. It would be that size. That's the only way I'd do in fact, if I were to ever do a fish store, it would be slightly bigger than a barbershop, or, those super cuts or whatever that's just long,
Well, basically, that's what Aquarium Co-op's current fish store is the size. It's very small. That's what he always says. People underestimate how small the store is. Well, because for some reason it looks a little bit bigger on camera. Because when people come here, that's the one comment that everybody makes. Oh, it's a lot smaller than what we thought.
It's all about the Bengals, baby. It's
Yeah.
all about the Bengals. But you don't need a lot. You don't need a lot of space. The thing is, the one thing that I would insist on as far as space goes is having enough space to do two things. One is buy a little bit extra so I can get price breaks for buying in bulk, whether it be, supplies or whatever. Only have a couple on the shelf, but, have them in the back. Two is I would want to figure out some way to have an online store, but as the fish come in, go ahead and separate X amount of fish and put them in the back, in a rack of tanks. Maybe you got 20 tanks dedicated, 20 10 gallons. What?
Yeah, but then you have the one customer that'll come in and he wants more than what you have there, but you got some extra ones.
You gotta have some type of discipline. And the other thing is I would want to do an aquarium maintenance business. So I would want to have some room for that in the back. So, but this is all stuff that I would have a reason to have a bigger store, would be for that other stuff, not just for the sake of having more tanks.
Yeah, Jake and Kate are saying that they have a little small shop that's right down the street. They used to be a coffee shop, and they've been kind of toying with the idea of doing something.
You got a greenhouse, man.
Huh?
He got a greenhouse too. I'd straight up do one out of a greenhouse, to be real with you.
Yeah, and then Raphael is asking, how many 4 to 5 inch cichlids would you put in a 90 gallon?
Depends on how big they're gonna get. You know what I mean? Like, I put a lot if they stayed 4 to 5.
I'm assuming that he's saying they're not going to get bigger than 4 to 5 inches.
Oh, okay. So like blue cars. Let's say blue cars. In a 90.
Except for the breastfeed.
No, like, okay, so a cara is it's not necessarily a species. It's just a name they throw on the back of a fish. But okay, blue cars. The reason why I say that is because green terrors are actually in the car are related to, you know what I mean? So it's just a name they throw out there. So okay, so blue cara in a 90 gallon. I had a 90 gallon, so I'm trying to but see, my 90 gallon was bare bottom, barely scaped, so I could probably get away with putting more. Is it planted tank? Are they going to be breeding? I would get 6 of them, bro. Get 6, throw them in there. You know what I mean? Get 6. And then you could put some dither fish in there too. But yeah, get 6. I would rock 6 in a 90 gallon in a heartbeat. That way, when they pair off to breed, maybe they have some space over there. Granted, the babies aren't going to make it, but they might make it to free swimming fry. But eventually, they're gonna. But a 90 gallon, I put 6 blue cars in a heartbeat without even thinking twice.
Yeah. Here's what Jake said to you, that they can't have a public business on property.
Don't tell nobody, Jake. Hey, Mr. I gotta do it the right way. Nah. I would say to Jake, if he was thinking about starting a business over there, because me and Jake has had a discussion like this before. Think about the area you lived in, as if there's a market for it. Mexicali didn't know there was a market until people started bugging him. You know what I mean? He didn't know that he had a market for people that wanted fish. They were sick and people started bugging him.
And the crazy part was, I was thinking, who's gonna want guppies and mollies and platies if you can buy them at PetSmart? Because that's where I got it from. Obviously, I went through several iterations where all the sick and weak would die out, and finally I left with a group that started breeding. Well, it turns out they'll buy them just because whatever they're going to buy at PetSmart is going to die. So
Yeah.
it's been really interesting. Those are some of the things that I've been finding out that I had no idea.
And this has been going on for a while. People have been bugging with Mexicali about fish. With Jake, I would say if you're thinking about buying that place and you're not sure if you have a market for it, start putting stuff on Facebook of fish that you breed, as available to sell. You don't need a license for that. It's just small time. Ain't nobody gonna throw up any red flags, any barriers. And if you notice, like Mexicali, that people are talking and they're coming to you out of the woodwork, yeah, you probably got a market, But if you put on your local Facebook and let people know you got this to breed, you got this available, and you start getting people come in and they also want other stuff, and then they're saying, hey, go to so and so. That's how you probably would know you have a market. But I do because I know you live out in the sticks, so I don't know how.
We're kind of out here in the middle of nowhere.
Well, and so does he. He does too. He does too. So I think he's more rural than you. So probably. I mean, how many people in your area you think have a fish tank to support the business and the rent and the light and the water and all that? I don't know. I've been staring at them angels behind you all freaking day. You got some pandas in there?
Yeah.
You bred those pandas?
No.
Angels behind you?
It's just one that somebody gave me.
Oh, well, that one keeps swimming back and forth. It looks like there's 14 of them suckers in there. You got what? Zebras?
Oh yeah, we don't even have 100,000 people. We're at 96,000.
96,000 in your town?
Yeah, that's still, But the problem is there's nothing surrounding us. We're kind of like a little island.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're out there. That's where you got people by the short hairs.
My only saving grace that I think why businesses like this kind of have a little bit of success is because we are surrounded by military bases.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is a lot of these guys will come in and buy stuff and then 6 months later they're gone. And you have a whole new influx of people that come in. And amongst those people, you always find guys that want to keep aquariums.
But you were saying that you live in a small place, but there's a lot of small places that are still far away from a pet store. So you have them available to you too. Okay, so it's saying here, it says the population of Lakeland, Florida metro area in 2024 is projected to be 369,000, which is a 1.37 increase from 2023. So 369,000 people. That's weird. That's a weird number, especially from being from New York. That's weird. That's it? I thought there was more than that.
Well, for us out here in the West Coast, that
was my graduating class.
That's a small town. Okay, well, it changes a lot.
Depending on where
if you look at the county, which is interesting, I didn't realize we had that many people throughout the whole county. It's 200,000.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and all them people from New York County probably is running into the same issue of having to go far to get to a decent pet store or fish store.
Yeah, that's a lot more people than I think the city itself is only 96,000.
See, all those people are potential customers. All them people are potential customers. So, yeah. So what happens? Let me ask you. Things are going good. You're like, yo. In all actuality, I could probably quit my job. No. Listen to me. So, or you retired. Whatever happens, and you're selling these fish, and you realize you're making. Oh shit! I out of my house. I made $80,000 last year just on selling fish in this little itty bitty spot. And the hey, you can't sell fish out your house no more. Are you gonna do a store?
At
Like
that
you
point, yes.
profiting, you're like profiting $80,000, and they're like, hey, you can't do this no more. You kind
You
of
know
be
what?
crazy.
What I would look for would probably be a little piece of property with
Mhm.
a single wide, um, and turn that into a little store.
So who was it? Somebody did a store tour in PR. Who was it? I think it was PB Aquatics. I think he did a store tour in PR, and he went to a fish store, and it was a damn storage container, but they made it nice. You know what I mean? You know how they made it nice, and it was a storage container, and the one side was full of fish tanks. Didn't even have that many in it.
And that's I didn't even think about that because you can line up two of them side by side, cut out the middle, obviously, convert it, insulate it, do all the things you're supposed to be
Yeah.
doing. That's perfect. I mean, that's just lock up the doors when you go out.
I would actually have multiples. I wouldn't convert nothing. I wouldn't do all that cutting. I'd have I'd have one, two. I'd have about 4 or 5 of them lined up side by side, and I'd put like paths with cover, and each one would be a different. This is all Africans or cichlids. This is all nanos. This is all planet. This is all merchandise. And it'd be like almost like an outdoor where you come out and you walk to the next one and you walk to the next one. I think that'd be cool.
What is it? Shipping container costs you what? About $8,000, $10,000?
I think they're running around 8, yeah, 8 to 12 in there. But it's the work you have to do to make it. Especially if you're doing a business, they're gonna want inspections and shit.
No, Toby, go lay down.
But that would be a cool little thing, have a pond, have ponds out there, seating area, have a food truck. But then I don't know, that would be that'd be a neat little spot. Turn it into like a little botanical thing, have gardens and stuff.
Oh wow, you can get them as cheap as $2,000.
The only thing is that's probably a short one.
Yeah, that's not bad though.
Yeah,
a 20-footer for $4,000. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'd want the super long one.
Because there's plenty. There's plenty of land for sale, and you can get well water. You just gotta.
Yeah. You got wells out there where you live at?
Yeah.
Why is water such a big deal over there then?
Well, because you can't run everybody off of that. Because we're a growing city in the desert. That's why. Because it makes no freaking sense.
How far down do you have to go to hit a well?
I don't know. It's pretty deep. They got to hit all the way down to the aquifer.
That's what I'm saying. Like our aquifer is about 3.5, 4 feet deep.
You can't dig. You can't plant a tree because you'll hit the aquifer.
Like literally, if you ever see if you go to Consolidated Fish Farms,
exactly.
you just doesn't rain. Yeah, but I don't know. I always figured if it didn't, I'll do well. But yeah, if you go to Consolidated, you go and out there there's indentions. They just took a backhoe and dug a big hole and it filled up with water, and that's what amazed me. I was like up in Jersey. So, I'm gonna go to Florida. I came to Florida and I was like, hold up, wait. I did a angelfish breeding and I had all these tanks and all this stuff. You breeding fish out of puddles, holes that you dug, and you ain't got no filters on them. You can't even look in the water. It's brown. You can't see the fish. They got Jack Dempsey's and African cichlids and all kinds of stuff breeding. Literally, you would just be like, look at that nasty water. That's where your fish come from. Snakes and turtles in there.
No, now you got my head spinning about doing that because it would be very, very viable to buy uh, some land out here, and because it's still there's still a lot of vacant land that you can
Got to.
buy relatively cheap. And the Connex's idea because you can do
I forgot you was in the army. I remember when I came in, I would say, "Hey, yeah, the Connex." They were like, "What? The Connex? You know the big metal things? Oh, you talking about shipping containers?" So I stopped saying Connex. That's a military thing. Yeah, we call it Connexes.
And yeah, you could. That would be great because you could. I like that idea doing the outdoor ponds in the shaded area.
Yeah, like a little botanical thing. You know, nice, chill.
That's future plans.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to business together. Move out here to Florida.
Well, then we can't do that because you don't have property in Florida.
Huh? I'll get some. I'm getting some.
Is there a lot of land out there in Florida? Problem is, you guys get freaking hurricanes that'll blow a whole business out of the ground. it'll end up somewhere in Orlando.
Nah, you can get them. See, you're talking about those mobile homes. The mobile homes literally just sit on top of the ground. But if you put pillars down, you know those concrete pillars down into the ground and bolt it to that, it's not going nowhere. It's not going nowhere. But I mean, you know, the mobile homes, they're right a step above cardboard a lot of times. The old ones, at least, the old ones in Florida, if you push up against the wall, you'd probably be outside. You know, you fall right out the house.
Like cardboard, huh?
Yeah, but some of them are real. Like you touch the wall, you boom. Oh, this is an old one. You know, it's all bent in because the ground, one side, the ground sank, so it's kind of you can see bending going on. But yeah, this is stuff out here called they call it it's some type of powder sand or something like that. Powder sand, and a lot of times you'll see these houses on this powder sand stuff, and it's just dipping on one side. Like you can literally see it go. Oh snap, bro!
Well, then you guys have sinkholes down there, man.
That's from okay. So the sinkholes is from you pretty much anywhere there's a place where there's a lot of straw in Plant City and even some of Lakeland. There's strawberry fields.
Yeah,
The strawberries take a lot of water, and what they're doing is they're taking water and digging well. They're taking it from the aquifer, leaving voids, and that's the problem. You know. But I personally think that if you have a freaking strawberry farm and you're taking water from the aquifer and the sinkhole pops up somewhere else, that you should have to pay for that. But no. But whatever. You know.
All right. Well, I think we've beat this idea to a point now.
Yeah.
We've been on for 2 hours, man.
I know.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Hopefully, you guys got some good information out of this. I know I learned a lot. For those of you that are potentially thinking about doing a business, my only suggestion: do your homework, know your market, so that you don't end up, you know, you have a higher rate of success. Really.
Yeah. If I didn't have so many people asking me on my comment sections where they can get this, where they can get that, I probably wouldn't be doing it. Really.
Yep. You got anything to say? You got anything going on that you want to?
I will say this though, and it's a little bit of a plug, but it's so I am going my whole process. Once I really got everything to get started and all that, right now there's nothing to show, but I'm gonna be doing it on my members only daily, probably. Even if it's mundane, whether it be it's gonna be I'm gonna live stream it, whether you're there for it or not, I don't know, you know, whatever, it'll be something that you can watch, you know. And you can see how I do it, you know, and how you're in the show, everyone can see you. You can see how I do it. You can see what I'm doing and this, that, and the other. But that's for members only. But I will be going live from out there as soon as I can get the heat situation, the humidity situation settled. I was gonna do it out there tonight, but I was like, fuck, check your damn. Hold on, God dang it. But if I turn my phone on, then he's gonna be like, "Hey, you got your phone on."
Hey, Doc.
Yeah. Who that? Doc who? Anthony. Hey, Dr. Anthony, man, I ain't talked to you in forever, brother. How you doing? You want to know how come I don't check my messages a lot of time? Because there's this guy called Joe Munoz. And he leaves me so many. He leaves me so many Instagram messages. Did you forget about the stream you scheduled? Did I schedule a stream today?
I think your normal Saturday stream, but you ended up hopping on with me.
Yeah, I hopped on over here. Let me see. Hold on, wait. He sent me a link too. Yeah, no, I saw this before you even sent me it, bro. I saw it. I saw it.
So you did have one scheduled?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You had a bunch of people waiting over there for you to start your stream.
I don't remember. I didn't set the schedule.
Oh, that was last week. He said.
Oh, last week?
Yeah.
Did I do I did members only last week. I don't know. I'll check it. But yeah, I saw Jeff's thing. But yeah, I'm doing it so you'll be able to see me do what I do, from getting the fish to like when I get them, when I put them in quarantine, and every day all the members are gonna be able to follow every single fish through the whole process. I think that's pretty cool for people who was curious if they should do it or not. You can watch me screw it up or succeed. Anyway, yeah, that's all.
But that's it. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. Like always, appreciate all your support. We'll see you guys soon. You guys take care. Oh, you were 2 hours late on your members stream?
I wasn't 2 hours late.
I don't know.